Welcome to the Ramayana, Stories of Dharm and Devotion. I'm Sandeep, your storyteller, guiding you through the eternal journey of Valmiki's Ramayana. Our narrative draws deeply from Valmiki's original text and is enriched with stories from other Indian traditions, offering you a complete and immersive experience of this eternal tale. Share this podcast with your loved ones and let the timeless lessons of the Ramayana inspire your journey. In our previous episode, the war stepped into a deeper shadow. Raavan, left with no warriors, turned to the nether world and called upon Mahiraavan. We saw a night of illusion, where trust was tested again. Hanuman built a living fortress, yet deception found its way in. Ram and Lakshman were taken beneath the earth. But devotion did not fail. Hanuman descended into the unknown, faced Mahiraavan, and ended him with wisdom and courage. He returned with Ram and Lakshman, restoring hope once more. Yet Raavan, shaken but unbroken, turned toward the divine, seeking strength for the final battle. In today's episode, the war moves toward its final truth. The night has passed, and a new day rises over Lanka. We will see Ram and his allies prepare for the last and most dangerous battle. We will witness their concern as Raavan, now alone, prepares to enter the field himself in his fiercest form. We will hear Ram speak of a chariot not made of gold or iron, but of dharm, truth, and patience. We will see the gods step in, as Indra sends his divine chariot, and the sage Agastya reveals the sacred Aditya Hridaya, a hymn that fills Ram with renewed strength. But even with this power, the path will not be simple. We will see a moment where dharm itself stops Ram's hand, as Raavan comes after deep worship of the goddess. We will witness a new kind of battle, not of weapons, but of devotion. Ram will turn toward the ocean and begin the worship of Goddess Durga in a time not meant for her, and Akal Bodhon. Day after day, he will pray with full faith. Hanuman will cross worlds to bring the rare blue lotus flowers. The Vanars will join in sacred chants, turning the battlefield into a place of prayer. And then, we will arrive at a moment that defines everything. A test not of strength, but of surrender. When one flower goes missing, we will see Ram ready to offer his own eye, to complete his devotion. Join me now, as dharm meets destiny, as devotion is tested to its highest limit, and as Ram prepares not just to fight Raavan but to prove the power of faith itself. The night had passed. A new day was about to begin. In Ram's camp, all the leaders gathered. Vibhishan, Ram, Lakshman, Sugriv, Hanuman and all other generals from the Vanar army. They sat together in deep thought. Vibhishan spoke first. He said, Raavan has no warriors left now. Indrajit is gone. His generals are gone. Mahiraavan was his last hope. Sugriv nodded. He said, that means tomorrow Raavan will come himself. Lakshman looked ahead. He said, and when he comes, he will seek only one battle. Hanuman completed the thought and said, he will come for you, Ram. Silence fell. Vibhishan spoke again. His voice carried concern. He said, Raavan will not come as before. He will come in his fiercest form. Sugriv added, he will come with a grand chariot, powerful weapons and all his strength. Then he looked at Ram. He said, but you will stand without a chariot, without armor and without support. The worry was clear. All looked at Ram. But Ram remained calm. A soft smile appeared on his face. He said, do not worry. He paused. Then he said, I have a chariot. All looked at him with surprise. Ram continued, my chariot is not made of wood or iron. His voice was steady. He said, dharm is one wheel. Duty is another. Patience is the third. Truth is the fourth. He looked at them and then continued, these are the wheels of my chariot. He continued, courage is my flag. Strength is my armor. Wisdom is my charioteer. His words were calm but powerful. He said, control over my senses is the reins. Compassion is the path I follow. He paused. Then he said, this is the chariot that guides me. This is what will carry me into battle. All listened in silence. Their worry began to fade. They understood. Ram did not need a chariot. He was the chariot. And with that the final battle moved one step closer. The first light of dawn touched the battlefield. Ram stood ready. Not with pride. Not with fear. But with a quiet strength. High above, the gods were watching. They saw a strange sight. Raavan, the king of Lanka, would arrive in a mighty chariot. Armed. Protected. Surrounded by power. And Ram stood on the ground. With nothing but his bow. Indra watched this carefully. He turned to his charioteer. He said, "This cannot be an unequal battle. Go. Take my chariot to Ram." In the next moment the sky opened. A radiant chariot descended. Golden. Blazing. Divine. It shone like the rising sun. Matali, Indra's charioteer, stepped down. He bowed deeply before Ram. He said, "O Ram, Indra sends this for you." He gestured toward the chariot and said, "This is no ordinary chariot. It carries the strength of the heavens." Then he placed the weapons before him. A divine bow. Arrows that glowed like the sun. An armor that burned like fire. And a flawless spear. Ram looked at them. He did not show excitement. He did not show surprise. He simply accepted. With calm dignity. Now, he stood ready. Not just as a warrior but as destiny itself. Just then Vibhishan rushed in. There was urgency in his steps. He bowed and said, "Ram, I have learned something important." Ram looked at him. Vibhishan continued, "Raavan has been worshipping Goddess Durga. He has been invoking her power through intense penance." The words settled heavily. Ram grew thoughtful. For a moment, he said nothing. Then he spoke, "That means he will come to battle in a state of fast." His voice was calm but firm. He continued, "A man who is in worship, who is fasting, cannot be struck down." Sugriv looked at him in surprise. Hanuman watched silently. Ram said, "This is dharm. And I will not break it even for victory." There was no anger in him. No hesitation. Only clarity. In that moment it became clear. This battle was not just about strength. It was about righteousness. On one side stood Raavan with power, weapons, and divine blessings. On the other stood Ram with dharm as his guide. And soon these two paths would collide. The final battle was about to begin. The battlefield had come alive. Dust rose into the air. The sky grew tense. Ram and Raavan now stood face to face. Raavan attacked first. His arrows came like a storm. Sharp. Fast. Relentless. But Ram did not rush. He did not aim to kill. He fought with control. Each arrow of his was precise. He struck Raavan but only to weaken him. To slow him down. Then the battle changed. It rose to a higher level. Raavan closed his eyes for a moment. He invoked a dark power. From his bow, he released a terrible missile. It roared through the sky. And then it split. Thousands of serpents burst out. Black. Venomous. Hissing. They filled the air. They rushed toward Ram like a living storm. For a moment, the battlefield froze. Even the wind seemed to stop. But Ram remained calm. He lifted his bow again. He released another missile. The Garud Astra. The sky answered. Golden eagles appeared. Bright. Fierce. Divine. They dived straight into the swarm. Beak and claw struck with fury. They tore the serpents apart. In moments the sky was clear again. Raavan's eyes narrowed. His anger grew. He pushed harder. His arrows now came with greater force. One struck Matali. The divine charioteer staggered. Another shattered Ram's flag. It fell. Then his arrows hit the horses. They cried out in pain. The chariot trembled. And at that very moment the universe reacted. The sky darkened. A shadow fell over Ram, like an eclipse. The earth shook. Mountains trembled. The ocean rose. Its waves stretched high as if trying to touch the sun. The gods grew restless. Fear spread across the heavens. Raavan stood tall. For a moment he seemed unstoppable. Ram watched all this, silently. Then something changed. His eyes hardened. His face grew fierce. A deep fire rose within him, not of anger alone but of dharm. His presence shifted. The air around him became heavy. Every being felt it. Animals grew still. Warriors stepped back. Even Raavan felt a flicker of fear. Then Raavan roared. He lifted a massive spear. It crackled with power, like a thunderbolt. With full force, he hurled it at Ram. The weapon tore through the sky, burning everything in its path. Ram reacted instantly. He released arrow after arrow. But the spear did not stop. It burned them all, reduced them to ash. For a moment even time seemed to slow. Then Ram reached for another weapon. The divine spear sent by Indra. He invoked it, and hurled it forward. The two weapons met in the sky. With a blinding flash, a thunderous sound echoed. Raavan's spear shattered. Its fire died. Its power vanished. The sky cleared. Ram did not pause. His arrows flew again. Faster now. Sharper. They struck Raavan's horses. One by one, they fell. Then Ram aimed higher. His arrows pierced Raavan's chest. Another struck his forehead. Blood flowed. Raavan staggered. His breath grew heavy. Pain spread through his body. But his rage only grew stronger. His eyes burned with fury. His roar shook the battlefield. The battle was far from over. But now Raavan was no longer untouched. And Ram had begun to fight with his full power. The air burned with fury. Raavan stood wounded. Blood covered his body. But his anger only grew stronger. He roared. A deep, terrifying roar. Then he attacked again. His bow moved like lightning. Arrows poured out in thousands. They filled the sky. They rushed toward Ram like a storm of fire. But Ram did not move. He stood firm, like a mountain, unshaken. His hands moved with calm speed. His arrows rose to meet Raavan's. Each shaft of Raavan was cut down, broken in the air, turned to dust. The sky became a battlefield of arrows, clashing, burning, falling. Raavan's fury grew wild. With a sudden surge he aimed straight at Ram's chest. This time, his arrows struck. Thousands of them. They pierced Ram. Blood flowed. Ram's body shone red, bright, fierce, glorious. But Ram did not fall. Instead, his eyes changed. Pain turned into fire. A deep divine anger rose within him. Then, in the middle of battle, Ram spoke. His voice was calm, but sharp, like a blade. He said, "Raavan, you speak of strength and glory. But what did you do? You stole Sita when she was alone. You took her like a thief. A coward hides in shadows. A warrior fights in the open. If you had faced me then, you would have fallen that very moment. Just like your brother Khar." Raavan's face twisted with rage. But Ram had already moved beyond words. Something changed within him. His strength grew. His speed doubled. His mind became still, like a clear sky. From that stillness power flowed. Every divine weapon answered his call. His arrows now moved with unstoppable force. They struck Raavan repeatedly. From the ground the Vanar army joined in. They lifted rocks. They hurled massive stones. The sky and earth attacked together. Raavan began to falter. His vision blurred. His hands shook. For the first time he lost focus. His arrows missed. His aim failed. Confusion filled his mind. It was as if time itself had turned against him. The moment of his end was drawing near. Watching all this, his charioteer understood. He stayed calm, silent. He saw Raavan's weakness. He saw the danger. Without panic he decided. He turned the chariot, slowly, carefully, and then he drove away from the battlefield. Raavan, still burning with rage, was carried away, not in victory, but in retreat. For the first time in this war, the mighty king of Lanka was forced to step back. Raavan's chariot moved away from the battlefield. Dust settled behind him. For a moment there was silence. Then Raavan opened his eyes. His anger exploded. He turned to his charioteer. He shouted, "Why did you bring me away? Have you become a coward?" His voice was sharp. He asked, "Or have you been bribed by the enemy?" His pride burned as he said, "You have insulted me. You have destroyed my fame." The charioteer did not react with fear. He remained calm. He folded his hands. Then he spoke with respect, "My king, I have done my duty." Raavan glared at him. But the charioteer continued, "A charioteer must watch everything." He spoke slowly, clearly. He said, "The strength of the warrior, the health of the horses, the state of the battlefield and the signs of fate." He paused. Then he continued, "You were wounded. You were tired. The horses were failing." His voice softened as he said, "I brought you away not out of fear, but out of care. To protect you. To give you a moment to rise again." Silence followed. Raavan's anger began to fade. He thought for a moment. Then he nodded. He said, "You have spoken well." He removed an ornament. He gave it to his charioteer. Then his voice turned firm again. He said, "Take me back. I will not turn away from battle." There was fire in his eyes. But also something deeper. A quiet truth. He knew. This was a battle he would not win. Yet he would not step back. With that resolve, Raavan prepared once again. As he moved forward, Mandodari rushed to him. Her eyes were filled with tears. She stood before him. She said, "People call you wise. You are learned." Her voice trembled as she said, "I am only a woman, you may ignore me. But if a wife speaks with care, her words must be heard." She stepped closer and said, "You have ruled Lanka for years." She asked, "When have you ever seen Vanars cross the ocean?" Her voice grew stronger. She said, "Ram is not an ordinary man. He is Vishnu himself." She pleaded, "Return Sita. End this war." Raavan's face hardened. He said, "If I return Sita now, Vibhishan will laugh at me. The gods will laugh. I cannot bear that." He said coldly, "Go back. Sit in peace. Maybe I will die by Ram's arrow. But I will never return Sita." Mandodari closed her eyes. Tears fell. She said softly, "This is my fate. In bad times good advice is not heard." She looked at him one last time and said, "Ram is Vishnu. Sita is Lakshmi. You have made enemies of those you should have worshipped." Raavan replied, "I know who Sita is." His voice was strange now. Almost calm. He said, "People spend their lives just to see Lakshmi. But she has been in my palace. And Ram, people long for a glimpse of him. But he thinks of me every moment." His eyes lifted. He said, "If I die by his hand, I will not go to Yama. I will go to Vaikunt." His voice held pride. "And destiny." He finally said, "Now go." Mandodari stood still. Tears flowing. She prayed silently. Then she stepped aside. Raavan climbed his chariot. The battle called him again. Soon he reached the battlefield. His arrows flew once more. They struck Ram. Hanuman saw this. In a flash he leaped forward. He landed on Raavan's chariot. With one powerful slap he struck Raavan. Raavan fell. Senseless. For a moment the battlefield froze. Then Raavan regained himself. He slowly rose. The fight began again. This time Raavan called out. His voice echoed. He said, "O Mother Durga, where are you? Help me." His call reached the heavens. And then she appeared. The dark goddess, Kali. She came to his chariot. She sat. And Raavan sat upon her lap. She said, "You have called me as mother, so I will protect you. Even if God Shiv comes, he will face me." Raavan's face lit with joy. With her beside him, he attacked again. Arrows rained down on Ram. Ram lifted his bow. Then he paused. His eyes fell upon the chariot. He saw her, the beloved of God Shiv. Ram slowly lowered his bow. He turned to Vibhishan. He said, "How can I fight when Goddess Durga herself stands with Raavan?" Even the gods were shaken. They gathered. They went to God Brahma. They asked, "What must be done now?" For the battle had taken a turn no one had expected. The battlefield stood in a strange pause. Ram had lowered his bow. Raavan stood protected with the goddess beside him. The gods themselves were confused. At that moment something divine happened. The great sage Agastya appeared. He came with calm strength, with deep knowledge. He stood before Ram. Ram bowed with respect. Sage Agastya looked at him and said, "Ram, listen carefully. What I will tell you is an eternal secret. A secret that destroys all enemies." Ram listened with full attention. Sage Agastya continued, "You must worship the sun. The sun is not just light. He is the source of all energy." His voice grew deeper. He said, "He is blessed by God Brahma, God Vishnu and God Shiv. All three. He has the power of all the gods. He is the life breath of this universe. The one who creates, sustains and guides." Sage Agastya looked into Ram's eyes. He said, "Recite the Aditya Hridaya. Recite it 3 times. Then he added, "With this you will gain the strength to defeat Raavan." Here and now, Ram understood. He took water in his hands. He purified himself. Then he stood still. He looked at the sun. With full focus he began the prayer. The words flowed from him. Calm, clear, powerful. Once. Then again. And then a third time. As he finished something changed. The weight in his heart disappeared. His sorrow faded. In its place came strength, joy, clarity. Ram stood renewed. Above the sun looked down. As if blessing him. As if saying, "Rise and finish what must be done." But still one problem remained. The goddess stood with Raavan. Vibhishan spoke. He said, "I do not understand this. How do we fight when the goddess herself protects him?" The gods too were troubled. They went to God Brahma. They asked, "What must be done?" God Brahma answered. He said, "Ram must worship the goddess. Let me talk to him." A silence followed. Then God Brahma went to Ram. He told him, "Ram, the only way to kill Raavan when Goddess Durga is with him too is that you too must worship her. Without her blessings you can't win this war. Even God Shiv can't help you." Ram listened carefully to God Brahma. He said, "O God Brahma, thank you for your advice. But there is a difficulty. The time for her worship is spring. This is autumn." He paused. Then he said, "To worship her now is Akal Bodhon, an untimely awakening. Yet it has to be done." God Brahma listened carefully, thought for a moment and then continued, "Follow the path of King Surat. Begin on the 6th day. Sasti. Continue till Navami. Offer flowers, fruits, devotion. Invoke her with full faith." Ram listened. He accepted. At dawn he purified himself again. By the ocean he began the worship. Simple offerings, wild flowers, fruits from the forest. But filled with true devotion. The waves moved gently. The wind slowed. The world watched. For this was no ordinary worship. This was Ram calling upon the goddess herself. To decide the fate of Raavan, Ram began the sacred chant. He recited the prayers for the goddess. His voice was steady, deep, filled with devotion. The Vanars gathered around him. One by one, they joined. Their voices rose together. The air filled with prayer. The day passed in worship. The sun moved slowly across the sky. Soon evening arrived. It was the 6th day. Sasti. As the light faded, Ram began the Bodhan, the awakening of the goddess. He took clay. With care, with respect he shaped an idol of Goddess Durga. He placed it before him. He offered leaves. Fresh. Pure. Then he gathered 9 sacred twigs. He tied them together. This became the Navapatrika. He placed it beside the idol. Hanuman brought everything needed for the worship. Without delay, without rest. The next morning before sunrise, Ram bathed in the ocean. He returned purified and began the worship of the seventh day. With full focus he offered prayers to the goddess. The eighth day came. Then the ninth. Ram did not stop. His devotion did not break. Lakshman stood beside him, silent, steady. But still the goddess did not appear. Ram looked at Vibhishan. He asked, "What more should I do?" Vibhishan thought. Then he said, "I have heard the goddess loves blue lotus flowers." He continued, "Her worship must be done with 108 such flowers." Ram looked at him. He asked, "Where can we find them?" Before Vibhishan could answer, Hanuman stepped forward. He said, "If they exist anywhere, I will bring them." Vibhishan said, "They grow in a sacred lake. It is dear to the goddess." He paused. Then he said, "It would take 10 years to reach that place." Hanuman smiled and said, "That is not a problem." Without another word he leaped into the sky. He began his journey. Back at the shore, Ram continued his worship. He called out to the goddess by her many names. With full devotion, the goddess watched. She was pleased. But she chose not to appear. She wanted to test him. Far away, Hanuman reached the sacred lake. He searched quickly. He gathered the flowers. Blue, pure, divine. He returned at great speed. Back at the shore he placed them before Ram. Ram began the offering. One by one he picked each lotus. With every flower he spoke a mantra. The count moved forward. But unseen the goddess acted. She took one flower away. Ram reached the end. He paused. He counted again. One flower was missing. He looked at Hanuman. He said, "One is less." Hanuman was surprised. He said, "I will go again." He went and came back. He updated, "There are no more left in that lake." He looked at Ram. He said, "This is the goddess testing you." Ram stood silent. Then he remembered something. His mother's words. Mother Kaushalya used to say, "Your eyes are like lotus." Ram understood. Without hesitation he picked up an arrow. He brought it close to his eye. He was ready to offer himself to complete the worship. In this episode, we saw the war move beyond weapons and into the realm of dharm and devotion. As the night ended, Ram and his allies prepared for the final battle. They knew Raavan would come himself, in his fiercest form. We heard their concern. We felt the weight of what was coming. And then we saw Ram reveal a deeper truth, that his strength did not come from chariots or armor, but from dharm, patience, and truth. We witnessed the gods step in. Indra sent his divine chariot. Sage Agastya appeared and revealed the Aditya Hridaya. We saw Ram turn toward the sun, recite the sacred hymn, and rise again with renewed strength and clarity. But even then, dharm stood in his path. Raavan had performed deep worship. And Ram chose not to strike, choosing righteousness over victory. We then saw the battle pause and transform. Ram turned to the ocean and began the worship of the goddess. In a time not meant for her, he performed Akal Bodhon. With simple offerings and pure devotion, he called upon Goddess Durga. The Vanars joined him. Hanuman rose once more and crossed great distances to bring the sacred blue lotus flowers. Day after day, the worship continued. Faith did not break. Hope did not fade. Yet the goddess remained unseen. And then came the final test. One flower went missing. The count was incomplete. And in that moment, we saw the depth of Ram's devotion. Remembering his mother's words, he chose to offer his own eye, to complete what was required. This was not just prayer. This was surrender. This was truth at its highest form. In the next episode, we will see the outcome of Ram's prayer. We will witness how the goddess responds. And we will see the battle rise again, as Ram and Raavan return to face each other in the final clash that will decide the fate of Lanka. Join me in the next episode, as destiny closes in, as pride meets its last stand, and as the end of Lanka comes closer than ever. Share this podcast with your loved ones and let the timeless lessons of the Ramayana inspire your journey. Though the details of this ancient tale may vary across traditions, its essence reminds us of the enduring power of compassion, courage, and hope in the face of adversity. Until next time, may the light of dharm illuminate your path and fill your heart with peace.